Mayor Parker, to our councilman, I'm here today representing the NAACP Houston branch. The NAACP Houston branch supports equality for all. We are against discrimination of any form. While we did have concerns, we had two concerns about this ordinance. One has been addressed, and we hope that the mayor nor no one else would put it back in through executive order or anything indirectly. However, the second one has come to fruition, and that's the division that is making in our communities the misunderstandings because there was not proper inclusion in the design of this ordinance. I suggest that the mayor, that the council start over, bring in the community-based organizations, bring in the religious community. Don't divide the community. If the motives are good, if the policy is good, let everybody have input. We've got to live with this. And as we all know, any law or ordinance can have unintended consequences. So I suggest and submit that.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Boykins.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, you're not representing the NAACP. You are the chairman of the board. I just want people to know who's at the president, who's in here. Go ahead and continue your comments.
Our concern is that we need to unite our community. The religious community, it's not about lifestyle. There are people who have legitimate issues about safety, and it should be addressed. When we spoke with the attorney, our concern was that we were not brought into the equation early on. You know, they called us after there were drafts already put in place, and we were late in the game having input. And I believe that's where the mistrust. Process matters. Method matters. Bring in the individual, the CBOs, the community-based organizations, and the religious community. Let them have input. And then we can live with this in harmony.
Mayor, am I still in? Okay. Motion to extend.
Favoring opposed, motion carries. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, so am I hearing you say that you think it'll be a better ordinance moving forward if it was tabled, I guess, and readdressed with community stakeholders?
That's exactly what I'm saying, because then you'd have ownership, you'd have buy-in, you'd have input. Then the other segments of the community would feel respected. And then there wouldn't be such division and divisiveness, because when you try to pass an ordinance and you haven't consulted or respected all the voters, then you're going to have dissension. And we got to live with this. We don't want to unnecessarily divide our community.
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Councilmember Kubash, sir.
Reginald, Lillie, so good to have you come. I thank you very much. I brought your name up the other day in the quality of life meeting because I had called you the night before and asked you if you had been a part of the stakeholders that had been talking to the administration, and when you said no, I asked the city attorney the same thing. Motion to extend. Second.
Favoring opposed, motion carries. Go ahead.
My concern is that your idea of postponing it or putting it off. I'm an at-large council member. I didn't see the first draft. I didn't see the 14th draft. I think the first draft I saw was the 15th draft. I got an email last night about 11 o'clock that there was going to be a press conference this morning. The press conference was held during a committee meeting that I was in, so I didn't get to attend. I think there needs to be transparency.
Yes,
we need to see what's going on. I represent everybody that's in this chamber, and I want the right to be able to hear them, everyone, and make the right decisions. We have to bring us all inclusion and not division. Thank you so much for coming, and I appreciate you being here today, and thank you for your friendship.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Am I free to come?
Councilmember Bradford.
Thank you, Mayor. President Lillie, good seeing you.
Good seeing you too, Councilman.
The message that went out that there had been a deal brokered that included the Greater Houston Partnership, Human Rights Campaign, and other stakeholders, those other stakeholders that's represented here did not represent the NAACP?
No.
This is wrapped under the umbrella of civil rights. And to me, civil rights are international human rights. Motion to second.
Favoring opposed, motion carries.
Thank you kindly, colleagues. To me, civil rights are international human rights, and where do they come from? For this councilman, they're a grant from God.
Right.
Now, the NAACP, to me, represents one of the long-standing civil rights organizations. When were you or the NAACP involved in this process, if this is a civil rights issue?
I got my memories right, but we were in a conference call about, I'm going to say maybe 2-3 weeks ago, maybe, with Mr. Is it Feldman, and which
I don't know who you. I don't know.
I believe he's the city attorney.
The city attorney's name is David Feldman. But I don't know if that's the person who called you or not.
Right. Well, it was a conference call with many other community-based organizations, and that was one of our first concerns, was that why were we called in so late? And because if you wanted, because NAACP we support, but to bring us in so late.
Is there a motion to extend time?
And as I expressed to him, we have to not only live in this community and carry out our mission, but we have to live with the religious community and other people. And to bring us in late, there's so much about it that we may not even know. Right off the bat, we saw some things, not even dealing with the gender, that we had concerns about. But we were willing to support it because we do support equal rights. And I expressed to him, it could expose us to being blindsided, which it was, that people thought that we were just selling out, just being bought off. But that's not the case. We just wish that we could have been brought in early, and I expressed to him to have gotten input from certain segments of the business community, but not from the community-based organizations, and the religious community was just not fair.
Okay, where are you today as the ordinance stands today? And you may still be examining it as I am, and I quite frankly stand by the position that for this council member, you're not going to hear me say yes or no when there are hundreds of people still here waiting to give their opinion on it. A motion to extend, please.
Discussion favoring opposed, motion carries.
Thank you kindly. For me to decide I'm for it, or for me to decide I'm against it, and it's changing daily, right. The language is being changed, and there's still many people waiting to be heard from. I want to hear what you have to say. Mm-hmm. If my mind is already made up, why are you going through the charade today?
Correct.
And this is the way Bradford make decisions.
Yes, sir.
I do want your input. I want your analysis. I want your opinions. But by God, I don't want people telling me what to do.
Correct.
I'll still have some hard bark on me, perhaps. But I do want the oldest civil rights organization that I'm aware of, NAACP, involved, and I want your opinion. So as it stands today, do you support it?
We support the equal rights ordinance, but there's still some caveats. One of the things that we're asking is that give us time even. We'd love to be able to look at it more intensively. The element that was removed, that was good. But we still have some other concerns that we would like in process, in regards to the complaints,
council
retaliation.
Members, there are 3 other council members in the queue.
Yes, I do. One more motion to extend, Mayor.
Is there a second?
So I am saying...
Favoring opposed, motion carries.
Thank you kindly.
I am saying I think it would be wise to start over, to bring to table it, or whatever's proper procedure, to allow other organizations to come.
Let me ask the city attorney, Mr. Feldman, why the NAACP was not involved or brought into the last minute?
It's my understanding that someone from the administration was conferring with the NAACP. I personally did not.
If anybody, can I speak?
Yes, respond.
Nobody represents NAACP but myself. My first time speaking to yourself or anyone else on this ordinance was on the conference call we had that morning. I believe it was Thursday morning, 10 o'clock. That was my first time, and that nothing goes out unless I prove it. We do support equal rights, but there were concerns we had as we expressed in that conference call. But that was my first time.
Mr. Little, thank you, and thank you, Mayor and colleagues, for your forbearance. I appreciate it.
I didn't. Favoring opposed, motion carries. Councilmember Laster.
Thank you, sir, for coming down and testifying. Last week, we were privileged to have members of the NAACP's board come and relay to this body that this organization had voted to support this ordinance. What I'm understanding today is that you are also saying that the NAACP continues to support a human rights ordinance, equal rights ordinance. But the confusion that I have is this your personal position or is this position of your board?
No, this is what, as speaking for the organization, which I can do, we're saying bring in the other, as we expressed in the conference call, bring in the other community-based organizations. Let other organizations have broad input, give us opportunity even to look at it more thoroughly, and I believe then, because we all got to live with this.
But at the end of the day, the NAACP still supports an ordinance, and this ordinance, as it's written.
We, not as, well, with the exception that was made, we do, yes.
So you currently are on record of supporting the ordinance?
Yes, but we are recommending that today that it be redone so that there can be more community-based input on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. I believe it was Mr. James Douglas who came last week speaking on behalf of the organization. Is there a motion to extend time? Motion. Discussion. Favoring, opposed, motion carries. Councilmember Green.
Thank you, Reverend. Thank you for coming down. And thank you. I know that once council got copies of the ordinance, I think as Councilmember Kubash, we saw later iterations of it, but once we got it, my office forwarded you as well as the Urban League a copy of it and request comments on that. And we had been working with Dean Douglas on those revisions and those recommendations, and I do think that some of the recommendations have been taken into consideration with regard to that. Now, are there more recommendations that you have?
As long as those were acted upon and taken into consideration, as I say, those were our concerns.
Right.
And but as we stated, we support the ordinance. We just had some other concerns about it that we wanted to be inputted that we could have done before, possibly that call early on is what we.
Are there any other provisions that you guys have submitted or that have not been?
I need a second. Favoring, opposed, motion carries.
No. Okay. Other than those,
all right. So the ones that you submitted would be the ones that you would like.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you,
sir.
Councilmember Starting.
Mayor, I just have a question based on the testimony here. When did the process per se start? Revisions, the first draft, when did it start? When did the clock start ticking?
It actually started last December, but it starts as all of our ordinances do, with the city attorney's office and multiple conversations with me and multiple iterations back and forth. There have been, as has been pointed out, a number of conversations with NAACP. There seems to be some confusion within the organization as who speaks for the organization, because Dean Douglas came last week saying he spoke for the organization in support of the ordinance.
I would think the administration would have a strong working relationship and understand who would be speaking for that organization, but I don't know that, so I don't want to.
Can I respond?
Yes, please.
Dr. Douglas did speak for us last week, and he spoke on our concerns. But I am the official spokesman for it.
Second.
He did those concerns that
Discussion,
Councilman
favoring,
Green.
opposed, motion carries.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Sir, go ahead.
The concerns that Councilman Green just stated, those were our concerns that we expressed, and that's what Dr. Douglas was addressing.
I just want to make a comment, Mayor. We've all been on a long road on many issues, and we spent months and months on the historic preservation and other issues, and spent more time on that than I think we've done on this so far. And I think if there's still concerns from community groups, that at the very least, I mean, I've stated my position on the situation. I think it's public, but the fact is that I think everyone wants to be heard, and bringing people through under these circumstances, I think there's a lot of people out there that probably are not feeling heard, and we talked about traveling downtown and paying for parking and navigating the system and the fear of public speaking and all sorts of things, and I think that the historic preservation, at least there were town hall meetings and things out in the public, but that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Is there two other council members in the queue? Do you wish to make a motion to extend? Discussion, favoring, opposed, motion carries. Councilmember Wynn.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rule.
Oh, you have a procedural motion? Would you hold that for Councilmember Boykins?
Thank you, Mayor. I just, Mayor, I've sat in this chamber and followed this process for the past few weeks, and I've been very respectful to the pros and the anti. And I think most of our colleagues have done the same thing. What's interesting to me, you know, nobody, I don't think, in the city of Houston, and maybe, Mr. President, I'm naive, believe that discrimination is good.
Correct.
The comments I'm hearing from my friend, I have relatives that are gay. Mm-hmm. I love them.
Yes, we all
have
do.
nothing to do with that.
That's right.
But when it gets to the point where the NAACP is being, in my opinion, being scrutinized with credibility from the chairman or the president of the board, I have a problem with that. You are the president. They're members. I'm a life member who can speak and give an opinion, Mayor, whether it was President Douglas or Yolanda Smith. When you come up here and speak, we going to respect the NAACP. Motion to extend. We call on the motion. We call on the NAACP when it's a civil rights fight in the street, whether you're black, brown, Asian, gay, straight. But when we come up here and my colleague, in my opinion, disrespect the office of the NAACP publicly, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that. And so what I say to you, Reginald Lillie, as the Reverend, as the president of the NAACP, the position you take today, if that's the position as president of the board, that's the position I'm going to follow.
Very good.
Again, everybody have an opportunity to come down and speak, but not disrespect the NAACP. And I would ask my colleagues to never cross that line and disrespect the NAACP or LULAC or any organization that stands for social justice. Don't ever do that.
Councilmember Kubash.
What are your other concerns you talked to me about? You mentioned.
No, I was just saying.
Motion to extend.
Second. Discussion.
What other concerns do you have other than the issue that was already removed?
No, my suggestion would be that the process be redone and bring in other community-based organizations. That's what I'm submitting, is that the organizations, the religious community, let them have input. Let them get buy-in. Let them be able to review the ordinance and have input on it, because we got to live with this. And we don't want our community divided. That's what I'm saying. Let everybody have input on it. Give them time. Let it be vetted by the other community-based organizations and the religious community. That's all I'm asking.
I totally agree with you, and I'll be asking for that tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Pennington, do you wish to address Mr. Lillie?
I do agree. I just want to agree with you. I think it would be good. You know, in the end, we all have to get along.
Yes, sir.
And so I think it's good on a complex and important issue like this to talk for a while and to work through all the issues, particularly when you know, there are a lot of people who are not directly involved are going to be affected by this. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Bradford.
Second.
Discussion favoring opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. I just want to try to get more clarity on what the specific request is, because as has been said, I think, by maybe Councilmember Stardick, because in this particular instance, we did have a committee hearing 1 week, and then the next week it was on the agenda for us to vote on, and it was tagged, and we into it this week, so we had kind of 1 week, and we do take more time to deal with our chickens, calves, historic preservation, loose dogs. We tend to have several committee meetings, or allow 30 days or so to go by to flush it out. So is that what you're saying, Reverend Little?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Open it up. Give other community-based organizations the opportunity to have input, so that there can be peace and harmony, that we can live, so there won't be misunderstandings, and that the trust is very important. Confidence in the process is very important. Input, buy-ins, bringing in other stakeholders, that's very important in this city.
I don't know that you'd have peace and harmony at the end of that period of time, but I do think process is really important.
Process is important, yes, sir.
And thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.